Join us, Planet Kids, for Can This Tree Be Saved? Part of the Sherwin Search for Science series with urban forester Scott Solinger, who's come to see us from Penn State Extension. Welcome, Scott.
I don't know for sure about Chinese chestnuts. I'd have to look it up. Maybe 50 years, maybe something like that. You can see the bloom. This is the blossom. These are the male flowers. And then the female flowers will be a burr. Actually, the female flowers will come out after the male flowers, and so it's a wonder if we ever have a chestnut at all. It'll be the male flowers from another tree that's still hanging around that will pollinate the female flowers on this tree.
Down there. Done the same thing.
They do that. That's how it works. Yeah.
And next year I figure I ain't gonna have anything on it. It'll be dead.
Could be. Yeah, it moves pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not what's doing it.
And I just I wondered if there was some that I could spray or something I could put around the tree to stop that.
For the worms, it's the chestnut weevil, probably. And you want to spray the female flower as soon as they're pollinated, because that's when the fly lays their egg in the flower as soon as that is pollinated and starts to form the nut. And so the larva forms in that very young nut. And so you got to get it while it's still early on.
Yeah.
That's about, it's in a couple weeks or so. And so you got to catch it just right.
Yeah.
The other thing to do is once you pick the nuts, just throw them into a low heat, say 140 degrees for 30 minutes or so. Or you could throw them into a refrigerator, so about 32 degrees or so for overnight. And that would knock the weevil off.
No. But they told me if I would put them in a freezer and freeze them for...
Doesn't take long. You know, maybe it could be a night, a week, something like that.
Well, I must have 10 pounds up there in a bag that I put in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have very many nuts or very many worms, but they're hard.
Okay. Yeah.
They're hard. You can't eat them.
That's what they say about refrigeration. It changes. You just
I froze them in the freezer.
Froze them in the freezer. Yeah. So you wouldn't be able to plant them then either.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And I got one started down on the other side of that tree there.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I don't know where it came from or anything. It just started growing, and I mow around it.
Yep.
Because I figure this is going to die, and this had nuts on it like that.
Oh boy, yeah.
Great big nuts, 2 and 3 at a time.
Realistically, there's not much he can do. But here you see where the canker is, and it's working in the trunk here. And then through here, these are all areas where the canker fungus is working. And I'd have to look up what this blight is that is in the Chinese chestnut. I could look that up here for a second. It'll just work its way around the limb. And
is there anything you can do to change that, to stop it?
let's see. I'm looking for some recommendations here. It is Cryphonectria parasitica, formerly known as Endothea parasitica. The American chestnuts are almost gone.
Yeah, I had a camp down in Tionesta, and they told me when I bought the ground that there was the American chestnut, that the squirrel could go from one tree to the other. That's how thick they were, all the way from Pleasantville to Tionesta.
Isn't that amazing?
Without getting on the ground.
God.
That's how thick they were, and they're all gone. And a year before last year I didn't, but I just had just as many worms as I did the year before.
True,
when I didn't do anything.
The time when we can manage the weevil is about springtime, when they'll come up out of the ground.
What do you spray them with?
It's easy to find a chemical to spray with. In fact,
Well, they told me over there at that nursery that there was a spray that you could use, but they didn't know if it would harm after you picked the nut, if it would get into the nut and harm people when they were eating them. Yeah,
And so you got to catch the fly.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to catch the beetle
yeah,
before you, or it won't do any
You
good.
want to spray the female flower as soon as they're pollinated, because that's when the fly lays their egg in the flower as soon as that is pollinated and starts to
Yeah.
form the nut. And so the larva forms in that very young nut. And so you got to get it while it's still early on.
yeah,
That's about, it's in a couple weeks or so. And so you got to catch it just right.
yeah,
The other thing to do is, once you pick the nuts, just throw them into a low heat, say 140 degrees for 30 minutes or so. Or you could throw them into a refrigerator, so about 32 degrees or so for overnight.
Send us a picture of a tree you would like to know if it can be saved to IamAPlanetKid@gmail.com.